Up until about a few months ago, I didn't know anything about Death Stranding beyond the fact that there's Norman Reedus and there's a baby. Oh yeah, and no clipping oil people that try and touch you all over. But after I spent many moons playing through Death Stranding 1 and 2, I finally understood everything. And let me tell you, this game can in fact be understood as insane and confusing as it seems. And when you do understand it, it's pretty cool. Which is why in this video, I'm gonna explain the entire story, the whole big picture of Death Stranding 1, released in 2019, followed by the newly released Death Stranding 2, so you can get the big picture and see not only how these games connect, but the wider narrative. And you might just understand why Death Stranding 2 has quickly become my favorite video game ever made. All thanks to Mr. Hideo Kojima, and the countless people that worked on the game with him. So without further ado, plug into your baby jar, and let's get into the full story of Death Stranding. Death Stranding is a complex behemoth of lore, and since this video focuses largely on what happens in the second game and how it ties everything together, let's first explain the timeline in chronological order of the first game's events so that we can just have a foundation, a place to start from, just in case you don't know much about the first game or you don't remember it. And there's no better place to start than with the Big Bang. See, there had been Big Bangs before, but normally they dissipated and canceled each other out. However, the Big Bang you're probably thinking of as the one theorized to have created our known universe and everything, well, in Death Stranding's lore, that thing did something it wasn't supposed to. After it banged one out, it turns out that some matter was left behind. Said matter eventually became what we know as the observable universe and subsequently Earth. But, you see, in the Death Stranding universe, there's this dude called the Will of the Cosmos, and he, or rather it, was like, hold up, that's not cool. I don't want things going and existing after they bang. So the Will of the Cosmos, tried to stop the great coming of stuff. Dude, what? I swear I'm not writing it like this, okay? It's just fuck. Said stuff was, as it turns out, life itself. First, we had the single-celled organisms, eventually little goobers like the trilobites, and at this point, the cosmos was like, okay, let me designate one of these living organisms to be something known as an extinction entity, and said entity would be doomed to carry out his will of causing the destruction of all living things, and perhaps the entire universe that was created against his will in the first place. So the poor trilobite that was made to carry out this extinction event, however the fuck that works, ended up doing it, but see, it didn't work. For whatever reason, life finds a way. And a way it did find, because life survived. A while later, a happy little ammonite happened to be chosen as the second extinction entity. Bing bang bong, and failure again. Wow, these extinction entities do not seem all that good at extincting things, huh? Perhaps the Will of the Cosmos needed to wait for life to evolve and create some really dumb monkeys that want to kill everyone before he could actually get this right. So he did. Well, after seeing if the dinosaurs could do his bidding, which, by the way, spoiler alert, a parasaur could not, nor could the woolly mammoth. Oh, hey, finally, we get monkeys. Well, an Iceman. So the Iceman was the fifth extinction entity, and he happened to be the first human-like entity chosen to do this. But it just, I don't know, I guess he caused the Ice Age, and, well, we're still here, so at long last, we make it to the 20th and 21st centuries. The next extinction entity is chosen to wipe out all life, undo that mistake made eons ago. The entity's name? Bridget Strand. Now, pause. Before we continue, let's get some ground rules out of the way here. You probably already figured it out, but Death Stranding's universe is a little bit different from our own, considering the whole Will of the Cosmos and his attempts at extinction entities. But there's a few more things that set this universe apart from our own. First, this alternate reality really likes connections between the dead and the living, and they manifest a dimension in between called the beaches. A beach is formed from a human's thoughts, their ego, their identity. Non-human animals don't have beaches. Second, there is a mineral called chiralium that we understand to have been created during or after the Big Bang. The chiralium seems to originate, however, from the beach, possessing anti-temporal properties, being in the exact same state as it was when the world was created. And the third main difference takes us back to the Egyptian. They believed a human was made up of two parts, Ha, the body, and Ka, the soul. Basically, they thought there was a transition between death and life, instead of the two being a true and a false, or a light switch. Instead, they thought your Ka slowly transitioned from your Ha into the afterlife when you died. How'd they know that? Irrelevant. Moving on. We fast forward to present day. Bridget Strand, a Homo sapiens, is born. From an early age, she was plagued with nightmares of the end of the world, seeing herself as the one to be ending it. Traumatized, she made plans to prevent said extinction, but when she was 20, she was diagnosed with uterine cancer. She had surgery, and during the procedure, her ka, her soul, was split from her ha, her body. This stranded her soul on her beach. She later explained that she believed it was the will of the cosmos that gave her cancer since, she didn't want to end all life as we know it, and, well, the will of the cosmos did very much want that. Fast forward, at some point in time, Bridget became Vice President of the United States. Then, something called a void out happened. A doctor was performing a C-section on a brain-dead pregnant mother. He accidentally touched the umbilical cord of the baby, and this caused a rather cosmically unstable reaction. He suddenly felt aware of another presence in the room, what we call a beached thing, or BT. And then the void out occurred. A sudden, titanic, near-instantaneous explosion. When the matter of a living person, a human, combines with the antimatter of a BT, it creates what we know as a void out. And if you're in range of a void out, well, it's not exactly conducive to human life. After the discovery of these void outs, there became experiments in Manhattan, New York, on brain-dead pregnant women and their babies to figure out what the fuck was going on. The President of the United States and the Vice President, Bridget, were overseeing the experiments, but at some point, another void out happened, and it wiped Manhattan off the map, killing the president in the process. Bridget, being the vice president and somehow surviving the void out, meant one thing. She would become the new president, since that's kind of part of the reason that vice presidents exist. Bridget, fearing that her visions were becoming true, started to freak out a lot and established Bridges, an organization dedicated to saving humanity. She started to experiment with bridge babies. Again, at this point in time, she was trying to stop whatever Death Stranding seemed to be rapidly approaching, and bridge babies, being capable of creating a controlled connection between the world of the dead and the living, made them particularly useful. There's a couple involved in these experiments: Cliff Unger, a special forces officer, and his common-law wife, Lisa Bridges. Lisa at some point in time was diagnosed as brain dead, but she was pregnant, and so Cliff, in his desperation to save his baby at the very least, allowed his wife and unborn baby to be involved in the experiments. Cliff is reunited with an old military comrade named John, who also happens to be Bridget's right-hand man. John was torn between his loyalty to Bridget, his boss, and on the other hand, Cliff, who had saved his life so many times when they fought alongside each other. So he told Cliff the truth about what was actually going to happen to his baby, an unsettling truth at that. Cliff's baby, which, by the way, was named Sam Bridges, a character pretty important to this franchise, was going to be sacrificed to the chiral network. That's what bridge babies would end up being used for. So when Cliff found out, he made a plan. He'd pull the plug on his brain-dead wife, and then he would quickly take Sam and try and escape. Cliff executes the plan, but running doesn't work out, and Cliff gets shot. But so too does Sam. Bridget is the one to pull the trigger, but she didn't mean to shoot the baby, and so after having just offed the little thing, Bridget's like, oh, fuck, and has her ka, Amelie, search for baby Sam and find him on his beach, which is where Amelie then brings Sam back to life. Now, in doing this necromancy, Bridget does something seemingly irreversible and certainly catastrophic. So remember the Death Strandings, the extinction events that happened over huge stretches of time to wipe out all life? Well, there were 5 thus far, right? And, well, she just happened to create the 6th one with her little mistake. All of a sudden, after bringing Sam back to the world of the living, Bridget permanently damaged the barrier between the worlds of the living and the dead, allowing for the cause of dead bodies to, over the course of 48 hours after the person died, go to the beach, get covered in oil and gold stuff, and then go back to their bodies where they would mix the body with themselves, forming the weird oiled up beached thing, or BT. Once the BT is created, at that point, all they have to do is touch a living creature and boom, void out. As it turns out, humans die a lot, either from natural causes or because some just simply can't contain their bloodlust. So therefore, since void outs are now happening within 48 hours after anyone dies, due mostly to the fact that people don't even know this is happening, well, you can imagine what would then occur. People don't know yet that if you incinerate a body before the ka gets back to it, you can actually prevent a void out from happening. So void outs are happening all across the country, and Bridget gets to work. Her company, Bridges, works to try and stop the Death Stranding. Over time, Bridget started to feel like her work was hopeless because the will of the cosmos seemed very determined to make an extinction event happen no matter what. She got pretty nihilistic and eventually just decided, fuck it, do it live! Promptly starting to speed it up instead. This lady grooms a desperate incel named Higgs, turning him into her little prophet of death and instructing him to form a terrorist group called the Homo Daemons, and said Homo Daemons orchestrate void outs to make people afraid and cause panic throughout America as a long-term strategic variable so that people would, due to their fear, be willing to link up to the chiral network, which is basically just cosmic 5G internet. And in doing so, the 5G internet would be utilized in one final event because behind the scenes, it would secretly connect everybody's beaches together. Then, with them all connected, Amelie, on her beach, could send a burst of antimatter through and into everybody else's beaches, ultimately finally passing into the world of the living, which would create such a big void out it could destroy not only America, but the entire goddamn planet. So, you get all that? Maybe? Good. I'm just gonna assume you did, so we can quickly go over what happens next in the events of Death Stranding 1 itself that you play through in the game. Remember Sam, the baby that Bridges shot and then revived, causing the 6th Death Stranding? Well, he grew up, got a wife, and got her pregnant. But because he's something known as a repatriate, someone that has been brought back to life from the beaches when they were a baby, he's functionally immortal, because whenever Sam dies, the beach rejects his soul, meaning that it just goes back to his normal body, and he's like, oh, okay. Sam also has something called dooms, giving him the ability to sense beached things, and as it turns out, after his wife got pregnant, his unborn child also got dooms. The issue is, one side effect of dooms is people wanting to off themselves. So his wife decides to do just that, and, well, that causes a void out, which happened while Sam was away on a job as someone who just delivers packages. Completely mentally broken by his wife and unborn child being wiped off the map, he becomes a closed-off, quiet man. And that is where we truly begin the first game. It's been years since Sam lost his family, and we start the game with him just riding on a motorcycle. A bunch of stuff happens. Bridget is on her deathbed and tells Sam to go link up the chiral network while telling him that it's for a good cause. Yep, it's absolutely not, by the way, if you recall, but Sam doesn't know that, so he does connect the chiral network across America, meeting tons of great characters along the way, beating up the incel terrorist Higgs a few times, and eventually making it to Amelie's beach, which is where he finds out the truth about the chiral network actually being capable of nuking the whole fucking planet, at which point he begs his stepmommy/stepsister to not end the world. She's like, okay, sure, and proceeds to detach her beach from everybody else's, proceeding to then flood just her beach with the antimatter. We don't know if this killed her or what, but afterwards Sam makes it back to the world of the living and decides he wants to adopt the bridge baby that he just so happened to be traveling across the country with the entire game that you're playing through the game. The organization above him, the UCA, wants the baby to be disposed of because it was like marked for incineration, but one of Sam's buddies, Deadman, helps him get off the books and kind of just escape with his little jar baby. Eventually he takes the baby out of the pod and she survives it, at which point he names her Lou. End of game 1. Okay, that was a lot to go over, but I hope it painted a pretty good picture of everything leading up to what most of you are really here for. You're wondering, what happens next? What happens in Death Stranding 2? And if you are wondering that, that is normal, because Death Stranding 2 is somehow even more convoluted and confusing and unhinged than the first game. So I'd love to tell you all about it. Without further ado, let's go. Oh hey, by the way, are you enjoying this video so far? If you are, click the like button since it really helps YouTube know that this video might just appeal to a hell of a lot more people like yourself. Thanks. Okay, back to the video. We open on a monologue from Fragile. Her words echo as we fade in over vast, silent landscapes, a desolate desert with these cracked cliffs, cacti, and some unknown creatures. Then we cut to Sam and Lou hanging out on a little mountain. Sam is older now, a little more worn down. Lou's growing up fast, and for the moment, everything looks pretty peaceful. They head back down the trail towards what is apparently their home. We get introduced to some new weather events that weren't in the first games. And once you finally get back to your home, BTs appear. For whatever reason, as they try and grab Sam, he doesn't really seem to care. He's just kind of bawling. He walks right up to this cliffside and presses his hand against a rock, which causes this whole area to glitch out. Turns out the BTs, the timefall, all of this was actually just a holographic projection, camouflage for their hidden bunker. Once we get inside, we see domestic Sam, cooking and cleaning and all that, while Lou plays with her toys. For once, they're not just surviving, they're thriving? Almost? But then things shift. A motorbike rolls up outside and the rider stops, pulling out an umbrella. A very familiar umbrella. This mysterious person just casually finds the entrance and breaks into Sam's house. While Sam is trying to set Lou down for a nap, suddenly this alarm blares, and he goes to get a weapon. But instead of a gun, he grabs a frying pan. Yeah, PUBG style. Very dad-like, maybe? The figure descends down the stairs, and right before Sam attacks them, oh, hey, would you look at that? Who could have seen this coming? It's Fragile. But she looks a little different. Particularly the most noticeable thing is the 2 rubber gloves that seem to touch her face and shoulders. So the 2 of them talk, and basically, she's not as mobile as she used to be. Turns out that overusing the whole beach hopping thing during the final hours of the first game gave her a syndrome called jump shock, she can't really teleport anymore, at least not safely. She then explains that she's here because she needs him. So this post-Death Stranding world is a little bit more political. Once the chiral network was fully operational, bridges stepped down. Deadman, Lochner, Hartman, all of them went their separate ways. Die Hardman, he's not even the president anymore. Now the United Cities of America is run by an AI. It's called APAS 4000, a cold, distributed logical brain that basically ChatGPT is running the chiral network. And because of that, there's no more work for porters. Fragile Express pretty much fell apart. So Fragile made Drawbridge, her new company, which took its place to handle deliveries outside the network. Then she explains why she actually came here. The UCA approached Drawbridge for a delicate mission: expand the chiral network to Mexico. But she's not just passing the job along. She's here because Deadman's involved. He's actually working in a lab in southern Mexico. And now there's a large BT threat looming in that region. She needs Sam, the same guy who once reconnected an entire continent. A continent which, by the way, is like shrunk down to like 1% size. Because these non-Americans don't fucking get how big this country is. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna drive between Italy and Amsterdam and I'll be there in a jiffy. Anyway, Fragile's asking him to go back into the wild. Sam is open to this, but he has one condition. Fragile has to take care of Lou while he's gone. She agrees, and, well, we're back in business, baby. So Sam preps for his road trip once more. Without the roads, mostly. There's not a lot of those left. So, with the understanding that the South is going to have entities worse than anything you've seen so far, you recognize the big picture. It's not about reconnecting America this time. Your mission is saving what's left of North America. So, let's get to it! Before Sam sets off, Fragile hands him some new gear. Gone is the old wrist cufflink. Now he gets a sleek little thumb ring. She also gives him a new Cupid, too, the key to connecting this latest expansion of the chiral network. She explains that the southern terminals are already in place because it turns out Amelie's original expedition from the first game, the one that laid the groundwork for the network, actually split in two. One half went west to the coast, while the other went south into Mexico. Of course, this wouldn't be a proper Fragile moment without her trying to shove a cryptobio down Sam's throat, but he turns her down. Then she tries to eat it herself until Lou snatches it right out of her hand and deletes the thing. Anyway, then Sam sets off. Sam journeys across rugged terrain towards the first chiral terminal. The landscape itself certainly seems as harsh, if not harsher now. It's not so much feeling like America is healing as much as it is shit is still broken. He gets the terminal online, and the staff there thank him by prepping a private room so he can rest, but he's hardly able to get any of that because of what happens next. In his sleep, he's pulled back into the beach. He sees Lou and wanders over, picking her up like he always has, only to look down and see his hands covered in tar. Worse, baby BT handprints appear across the beach, leading down towards the waterline. We then get a horrific sight. Not just dead fish and whales, but dead bridge babies are seen scattered across the shore like discarded pieces of junk. Towering above him is a giant Amelie, cradling a child before he jolts awake. Fragile's voice cuts in. She's standing there with Lou, asking if Sam's okay. She's just a hologram here, of course, and she reminds him that she's taking care of Lou and tells him to stay focused.
Just focus on the road, okay?
Thus, he trudges on. Along the way in the distance, you spot a big-ass mountain looking like it came straight out of Skyrim, and a little later, you find these cute little spider guys. Surely they're friendly. Oh fuck, they're not friendly, they're not! After linking up a few more settlements, Sam finally gets some sleep, only to be woken by a gate quake, a massive seismic shift that ripples through the area. On the surface, we find out that Sam's Dooms level has actually increased since the first game, meaning that he can now see BTs without needing a bridge baby. The employee then gives a breakdown of BT classifications, in case you'd forgotten. We've got the gazers, the spectral humans that just float around, hunters, the tar pit ones that try and pull you in, and catchers, the ones that actually eat someone and cause a void out. With these enemy types in mind, Sam journeys out and finally makes it to Deadman's research station. After he brings it online, he takes a breather and immediately gets jump scared by his old buddy. Sam jumps up to hug him, but of course, it's just a hologram again. Deadman's been busy. Through using some excellent analogy via a bunch of children's toys, he explains that chiralium clouds now blanket the atmosphere, blocking aircraft and satellites. And it turns out the ocean is laced with chiralium, which corrodes ships. This means that traversing across continents is pretty much impossible as of now. The world's borders are shut by death itself. Then he drops a bombshell. Something called a plate gate formed after Sam initially expanded the chiral network. And the larger said network got, the larger said plate grew, like it's alive. Deadman reveals that this gate is a literal fissure in space-time that leads to Australia. And before Sam can even process that, a giant BT appears outside. He steps up and turns that bitch into Dijon mustard. Gone, deleted, reduced to garlic powder. Anyway, back in his room, Deadman lays out more lore. Apparently BB-28, the original designation for Lou, was decommissioned 4 years ago, long before Sam even met her. Which means Lou doesn't match any UCA asset registry anymore. She's a ghost in the system, an anomaly. Deadman then offers Sam 2 things. A charm for Lou's protection, and a case of vaccines to keep her safe. Deadman then drops one last thing. It turns out he has a beach. He's discovered that, like you, he has dooms after all. And because of it, he's already dead. Or maybe in between. He's certainly planning to go there soon. A rather unorthodox way to kill off a character, but there we have it. Deadman is dead. Suddenly, Fragile reappears and tells Sam that his name has been wiped from the UCA employee database. You're not a fugitive anymore, Sam. You're a nobody. With his slate clean, Sam sets off back home to reunite with Lou, bringing Deadman's gifts with him. But something goes horribly wrong. As Sam starts to get close, an alert hits. His shelter is under attack. Out of the tar, these weird mechanical BTs emerge. But when it looks like you're about to get absolutely destroyed, a red mechanical samurai, complete with a BT sensor on its mask, drops from the sky, slices through the BT bot things, and just vanishes. Sam rushes the rest of the way home, but it's too late. His shelter has been ransacked. And after looking around, he finds Fragile injured outside, bleeding in shock. He patches her up, and she tells him what happened. The shelter was attacked. She tried to escape with Lou, but she was shot and crashed. She couldn't jump with both of them, so she tried to send Lou alone, but she was shot before she could. Fragile saw one thing that would burn itself into her mind forever. The small child she promised to protect lay dead on the ground. Lou is gone. Inside the shelter, the lights flicker. That once cozy underground home is now a ruined, compromised hole. And then baby BT handprints begin appearing across the floor, leading to the old BB pod. Inside it, we see a translucent BT Lou. It's as if she's back, but not. She can't see him or hear him because she's already gone. It's been 1 month since Lou died, coming back in some form as a ghost in the BB pod. We find Sam sitting on a mountain ledge, just like in the opening to the game, but this time, there's no baby on his chest, no Lou, just silence. He sits there for a minute, staring into the vast, empty landscape like he has nothing left to live for, before he jolts awake and stumbles to his feet. He looks tired, so tired of everything. He walks home and eventually stops. In the distance, he sees Lou laying on the ground crying. She's not a BT, she's not covered in tar, she's not translucent, it's just Lou, as if she was alive. Sam drops to his knees, scrambling forward, but as he reaches her, he realizes it's not real. It's just some cruel trick of grief. Lou isn't breathing. Sam pulls a gun and puts it to his head. Bang. Then we're in the scene, except this time, well, it's different. The baby, the BB, the one that usually gives us the iconic thumbs up, well, this one's eyes drip with black blood. It looks tired, sad, and alone. And just then, he wakes up. This time in his bunker, clutching the BB pod in his left hand. Whatever's inside this thing, is it Lou? It looks like her, but is it her? Or is it just an empty, lost fragment of her soul, desperately clinging to an object it knows so well? He holds the pod like it's the only thing that matters. And then Fragile appears. She tries to apologize again, but Sam merely walks over to a kitchen drawer and pulls out his gun. He tries to fire, but nothing. Shells are empty. He's been doing this a lot, clearly. Fragile tells Sam he needs to stop dying in a hole over and over again. It's no life to live. She tells him to follow her, and eventually he does. She leads him up to the surface, where there's a tar lake ahead of them, before the stillness is interrupted by a massive ship that emerges from the black. Fragile turns to him. "Meet the crew," she says. "It's time to hit the road, start a new journey." And for the first time since Lou died, Sam decides at the very least to continue this life. Sam wakes up in a new place. After Fragile brought him onto her ship, he seemed to hit the hay like a rock, getting some much-needed sleep. He's also gray now, for a reason you'll understand shortly. You are currently aboard the DHV Magellan. Sam washes his face before Fragile enters his room and welcomes him on board. She gives him a tour, eventually getting to the sort of captain's quarters where she explains how the ship works. Basically, it's a submarine that can descend into the tar world underground, riding tar currents around the globe that basically lets them travel anywhere they want. Downside being that they must be bathed in chiralium during travel, which makes them gray for whatever reason. It's here where we meet Tarman, the captain of this vessel. He's got a pretty spooky cat and is generally a really chill dude. It doesn't take long for Sam to find the BB pod containing whatever soul or ka seems to be left of Lou, and moments after we meet a new character, Dollman. I swear to God, what is Kojima's obsession with putting man at the end of every male character name? I get it, but is this really necessary? Mr. Dollman here used to be a dude, but his ka got stuck inside a doll. He starts to lore dump on Sam that the BB pod he's holding is actually empty and doesn't actually have Lou in it, but Fragile stops him. It seems like Fragile wants Sam to believe that the pod has Lou in it, even though Sam appears to be hallucinating the baby in the pod. Nonetheless, they finally pop out of the tar and land outside the Mexico Plate Gate, giving Sam his newest goal: expand the chiral network connecting Mexico and by extension North America to Australia, utilizing the Plate Gate to extend the bandwidth. Goal acquired, Sam says okay and does a little hair snipping, hair spray painting, and packs up to head on out. On his way out though, Fragile approaches with Dollman and tells Sam to take Dollman with him since he's a useful little fella. Dollman also wants to be attached to Sam's dick instead of his ass. He just likes being in the driver's seat, okay? Now, they head out, except when Sam plugs himself into the jar, it does something rather familiar if you played the first game. See, back when Sam plugged himself into Lou's BB pod before she was taken out of it, he'd get these memories of himself as little baby Sam interacting with Cliff. This time around, he sees new memories, but we can't ascertain much about them. All we know is that they're rather violent. Who could have seen this coming from a game where they sacrifice babies for 5G internet? Dollman strapped to his crotch, Sam heads out into the Mexican wastes to reach that damn portal, and wow, this thing is a sight to behold. He finds some weird red-robed tech wizard-looking people marching towards it, and eventually follows them through. The portal is like a mirror with weird cosmic coral reefs intertwined. Hideo game. Sam goes through, enters a cosmic water slide where he sees the 5 extinction entities, and at last arrives in Australia. That was a fucking trip. And I'm not talking about a road trip. Once he uses his Cupid to connect the chiral network, the Magellan pops out of the tar and you head inside, where you're introduced to yet again another new character. This one named Charlie. This guy's a little sus. He's allegedly the patron for Drawbridge, but one which prefers to stay anonymous. I already don't like it, but there's not much to be done here because he's the sugar daddy of Drawbridge, being responsible for paying for the damn Magellan itself. Sam says he does not trust Charlie, and Bro unironically responds by saying he can mimic the voice of Sam's old friends, if that would make him feel better. That's gotta be something ChatGPT would say while trying to talk you down from suicide. Oh, and if you aren't already overwhelmed enough with new characters and organizations, meet APAC, the Automated Public Assistance Company, along with its president. This guy looks even more sus, and he tries glazing your performance before trying to put your suspicions at ease by saying, "Well, you see, the government isn't trying to gain more power. It's actually us, a private corporation that's trying to gain more power. This is good because it is." Anyway, Bro wants you to connect all of the continent of Australia. So you're like, okay. And without further ado, let's head out into the wilds, shall we? I'm gonna be real with you. From here on out, I'm not gonna get into the specifics about the kind of gear, vehicles, or random NPCs that you encounter in this game because quite honestly, Death Stranding 2 has so much more content than the first game in terms of sheer gameplay that I almost had an atherosclerotic episode by the number of bombardments you will face. And don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying this game has a lot of fucking content and it's great, but you're here for the story. So let's continue. You deliver stuff, meet the local natives, and run into an enemy faction called the Brigands, who you promptly shoot with your non-lethal bullets. Then after a long hard day of work, you rest in the Magellan, the first proper rest of many, mind you. This time round, Sam dreams about Amelie. Is she alive? Is she dead? Perhaps we'll never know. You wake up and get back to work. Time to get after it. You head to a nearby settlement area called F1 to investigate some weird tar current issues, but once you head over there, oh god, what the fuck? So yeah, we're pretty screwed. These red-robed dudes surround you, and a couple of them pull out a coffin from the tar, which a certain familiar man steps out from. There's just something about that voice.
Aren't you a sight for sore eyes? Been a long time, Sam.
Ah, it's him. TLDR, this edgy red man basically tells you that he can't kill you since you'll just keep coming back to life. But he can make you lose. and he intends to do that by one way or another, spawn killing you, forcing you into an eternal, infinite cycle of dying and reviving.
Maybe I can't kill you, you won't die, but you can lose everything you love. And torture yourself for the rest of time.
Why is this villain so fucking cool? Holy shit, am I wrong here? Anyway, you fight a boss, which reminds you of a certain villain from the first game, perhaps a certain little incel named Higgs, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. I mean, he should be dead, right? After you kill the shit out of this mechanized giant Doc Ock thing, you go on your merry way. The next time you get back to the Magellan, you run into Fragile, where her and Sam theorize that this mysterious masked man is Higgs, which he obviously fucking is, come on. Fragile makes the connection that because Higgs' new group has this red design, and also the people who came after Lou were red too, there's a chance Higgs is responsible for Lou's death. Sam tells Fragile to look into this and to try and figure out anything they can about Lou because this shit is getting intense. I mean, can we just relax for a second? Maybe take some deep breaths, talk to Dollman. I'm sure he's got something cool to show us. What? 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 What the fuck? What is this game about? That was both cool and mildly uncomfortable at the same time. Mostly I couldn't stop looking at these cloth physics. Like, what the fuck? This goes on for 10 minutes. Why does it look so good? So, did I ever tell you this game is about moving cargo around? Riveting gameplay. After some more errands, we catch back up with Fragile. She has some news about info on Lou. This takes us back to Death Stranding, revealing some new info that we didn't actually have before. Basically, the BB that Lou used to be used the designation of BB-28, but that was only after the old BB-28 was decommissioned 4 years ago. For whatever reason, after that one had gotten decommissioned, BB Lou was assigned its name and placed into storage, only before you end up having her passed on to you by the whole incident at the start of the first game. According to Fragile's digging, the still mother of Lou was killed, and with no attachment to a still mother, that explains why Lou was placed into storage. The whole shady renaming thing, though, is not clear. But don't you worry, because it will be in time. Before we can understand the big picture, Fragile tells us to link up a site in a place called Rainbow Valley, where she says a friend of Drawbridge is waiting. After you head there, we get, this cutscene. This was the point where I realized Death Stranding 2 is gonna be Game of the Year. No doubt. I'm sorry, Expedition 33. After the Raincoat Girl runs away from you, you head on into her cool, plant-filled laboratory, and you meet her. This is Rainy. Wow, who could have seen that coming? Rainy is a happy girl, or so you'd be led to believe, because she smiles a lot. It's starting to make me a little uncomfortable. Rainy joins us on the Magellan, where her and Fragile, the besties that they are, rejoice in their reunion. Aww. Alright, let's go save a kangaroo from a bushfire. Oh, wait, that's not just a bushfire, it's also charred whale meteors falling from the sky. Okay, that's fine too. The fire's getting a little out of control, but just then, the Magellan shows up, and Rainy emerges from a hatch, stepping forward and commanding Rain to save the day. It's here where we learn about her backstory, as Fragile explains who Rainy really is, the girl who brought the rain. So Rainy has dooms, like you and Fragile and anybody who's actually interesting characters in the game. You guys are all just special, and Rainy's special ability is that whenever she steps outside, timefall occurs in the general area. But see, the drops that pour down within a 1.5 meter radius of her body, it's not timefall, it's called corefall, which instead of aging things, it actually restores them to an earlier state. This is OP as fuck. Rainy was pregnant a while back and was basically unable to stay around people because of the whole timefall following her. Groups would go as far as to try and kill her because of it. They thought she was like cursed. Rainy was ready to end it all. But then Fragile found her, and not just by chance. Fragile wanted to learn more about Rainy's abilities, especially because Rainy's corefall could cure Fragile's old wrinkly body, which had been caused by timefall exposure to her in the past. And so just like that, Fragile and Rainy became pals. Back to the present day, it turns out Rainy has still baby syndrome. Her baby is stuck at 7 months, which sounds fucking horrifying to be in that situation. And Rainy isn't the only one experiencing this as of late. It's actually happening all over the world, and nobody really knows why. What a mystery. But before we can get some answers, allow me to interrupt this really cool story with 2 more hours of package deliveries. Gameplay. We love this game. We love game. At some point, Tarman reaches out to you and tells you there's another location where some tar currents are getting sussy. So you head over there and, oh, sweet mother of God, this is actually really cool looking. What the hell? You walk up and Black Sam appears from the tar, mimicking your every move until he doesn't.
Look out!
So we're in a new place. Well, not so much new as we've been someplace like this before in Death Stranding 1. And in front of us, we're introduced to a new, very mysterious character that definitely is not John Metal Gear Solid Snake. Definitely not. So without further ado, welcome back to the battlefield. If this game wasn't already the most impressively art-directed and graphically stunning game of 2025, well, I'd like you to take a moment to really taste these graphics. How did they get this running on a base PS5 at 30, or I guess there's even a 60 FPS mode I didn't even know about before. I mean, look at this. I work in Unreal Engine 5 on a weekly basis, and nothing I've seen in Unreal comes close to this. Dude, the reflection, look, fucking reflections. All right, enough glazing. So, Sam is stuck in what appears to be a hellish city, ravaged by conflict. Sparks are flying everywhere. We see a random girl walk past and, oh yeah, there's this guy we're gonna call Snake, for no reason at all, who commands basically an infinite squad of armed skeleton soldiers. You fight through them because you have to, and eventually reach a graveyard where you come face to face with Snake himself.
Let's go!
Boss battle time. You put Snake in his place, and just when you think he's dead, he wakes up, just long enough to utter some faint words.
Did he say Nirvana?
Before you can get more answers, he seems to die again, and then a random fucking meteor just knocks you back. You find this unconscious girl, and then boom, another meteor. Great. Waking up in the middle of nowhere, you scare off some pests and find this egg person. Dollman thinks it might be the girl you had just seen moments before, so you pick up the egg coffin and head home. After taking the weird cocoon thing back to the ship, Tarman and Fragile are inspecting it and trying to get the girl out. She's got a couple of abnormalities, like for example, weird squid sucker circle things on her arms, and spikes that come out of holes in said circles that also shoot liquid out. Delicioso! Well, not exactly, since Fragile gets squirted on and it ate through her glove, time falling her goddamn hand. Then the girl opens her eyes. After Sam wakes up, he stumbles over to Tarman and Fragile, helping them pull the girl down from the air because for whatever reason, she started levitating. The squad theorizes that this girl was born in that horrible land of the dead. Since they don't really know what to call her, Fragile gives her a name, Tomorrow. And speaking of tomorrow, the next day, Sam wakes up and starts to head out, but walks in on Fragile and Rainy trying to console Tomorrow. She's throwing a bit of a tantrum and sucking her thumb, which, at this point, if you're thinking what I'm thinking, wow, what subtle foreshadowing. After doing some jobs, you walk back in on another scene.
It won't be long till happiness steps up to greet me. Okay.
Raindrops keep falling on my head, but that doesn't mean my eyes will soon be turning red.
While we're between jobs, Tomorrow later bumps into us as we're leaving the elevator on the Magellan. She appears to be trying to leave, but Sam holds her back until Fragile and Rainy walk up, and as Rainy shows Tomorrow some apples they recently acquired, the girl picks one up and accidentally ages it to rot. Tomorrow runs off, and shortly after, the gang has a meeting in the bridge, or in other words, the command area of the ship, to discuss what to do about their new member. Tomorrow appears to be worried that they're going to take her back to the battlefield dimension place, which they do talk about as a possibility, and after the meeting, it turns out Tomorrow's up and disappeared. So you're tasked with going after her, tracking the girl's footprints. On the way, you run into a bunch of those red mechanized enemies, and after you get grabbed, it looks like you're about to fucking die. Right before you get saved. After Tomorrow saves your ass, you walk with her for a bit until she asks if she can stay on the ship. Of course, Sam says yes, and they head back, where the girls bring her on in a more official capacity, even giving Tomorrow her own little ring. The next day, you're tasked with reaching the lab of an old friend, someone rather important to the first game, Hartman. You show up to his new laboratory and find the similar holographic decor. It also looks like our boy has a bit of an upgrade, in more ways than just one. Hey, old friend. With his new suit, Hartman can flatline, sit, and sleep anywhere he wants while standing up. Pretty nifty. And in case you forgot what this guy's all about, basically he flatlines his heart on a near constant basis so that he dies, at least for a little bit, to be transported to the beach temporarily, where he's able to look for his daughter and wife who died, while also mapping the beaches, all before being resuscitated back to the world of the living. How bro has been doing this for so long without complete heart failure? Well, I would say I don't know, but then he explains that things aren't going so great. He's on the verge of heartbreak. Also, for whatever reason, someone lives in Hartman's walls. Someone very sick. God, she sounds worse than me. What the fuck? Oh yeah, and if you bug her after the cutscene ends, she does this.
Whoa.
Yummy. Once you get back to the Magellan's Bridge, it's meeting time. It turns out the gang has been receiving emails about rather useful information from Hartman. But the problem is, Hartman didn't send them. And this ain't just any regular information. We're talking about classified UCA and Bridges stuff. The gist of what he lore dumps to us about bridge babies is already known. Research and development into BBs began not long after the most recent Death Stranding, when Bridget brought baby Sam back to life after shooting him all those years ago. The main thing we didn't know until now is that Bridget, realizing pregnant women could be rendered brain dead deliberately, vehemently tried to ensure Bridges as a company would never allow that to happen. But Bridges was like, yeah, so we don't care, and did it anyway, in secret, securing test subjects by smuggling pregnant women into America from Mexico, among other places. This allowed them to produce BBs faster and make the chiral network a reality without having to wait around for naturally produced still mothers. This is fucked. Alright, so 4 years ago, they sent out an expedition which would establish the bridge babies at key locations around America once they produced a total of 10. But only 9 were actually used. Why is that, though? Hartman doesn't know, but he asks Fragile to search for the answer. She can't find anything, and it begs the question, what part did BB Lou play in all of this? Why was she locked up in a storage unit in what looks like some kind of cover-up? Oh, hold up, Hartman is doing his thing. Okay, that was pretty funny. Let's get back to work, shall we? Hey look, it's a pizza guy and a VTuber. Finally, some interesting NPCs. Peko. Back at the ship, we hear Tomorrow asking about her name. Since Tomorrow appeared to have grown up in the weird battlefield dimension we fought Mr. John Snake Metal Gear in, she doesn't even have a concept of what Tomorrow is. Nothing in her world ever changed, except for her, apparently.
And death is not the end.
Death is not the end.
Welcome back, Sam. You should get some rest.
All right. Good night.
Grandpa gets a little quirky at night, don't worry about him. The next day, Sam continues on that grind, eventually reaching a facility where he's supposed to meet the Motherhood. And needless to say, I was not expecting pregnant women with ARs, but here we are. They're clearly a little on edge, but we soon find out that there's a good reason for that. It's here that we meet the doctor. But not that doctor. This is a special kind of doctor that delivers babies by no-clipping them out of their mother's wombs. Oh, also she has 2 right hands. Whoa.
I can remove a baby from a still mother's womb without resorting to invasive surgery and safely place it in a pod with minimal distress to the fetus.
They call her a psychic midwife, and Bridges used to have her remove potential BB candidates from still mothers back in the day. Also, the doctor says that you, Sam, may possibly be suffering from persistent complex bereavement disorder, which is characterized by an extreme yearning for a deceased loved one, usually over a prolonged period. But Sam doesn't want to hear it. As he's leaving though, he does stop to hear some motherhood lore. Basically, this group used to be a safe space for mothers and children, but that all changed when men found out. Men who wanted women came knocking. The women had to fight back. The mothers show their arsenal and reveal that they got it from a nearby weapons factory that's been pumping out the hardware like crazy, which means that those same weapons are falling into the wrong hands too. As you head out to go solve this latest conundrum, the doctor stops you and, this is a little freaky. Oh, she just pulled a bullet out of your body. Now, how'd that get there? Tarman reports to you that the DHV Magellan got stuck, clogged up with tar. They need you to retrieve some cargo to fix the ship before it's too late and it just like sinks into the tar. That would be really bad. So you head to the F2 distribution center to get a ring terminal expansion device for the ship, and while you're there, you have to fight through hordes of those same all too familiar enemies before we come face to face with our old friend once again.
I will hold you and protect you. So let love warm you till the morning. Hey, brother. You miss me?
Hell no.
Long story short, Higgs here is not happy with you trying to connect the continent because he just wants to set the world on fire. And while he can't kill you, he really does want to find a creative way to put you in an endless cycle of death and revival. It's like the next best thing. But before he can do that, someone saves the day.
Sorry, Sam. We'll have to have our fun another time.
You know, they showed this cutscene off like a year ago or more, and I'm really pissed because I can only imagine how sick this would have been to see for the first time, not knowing it happened. Anyway, Higgs slithers off back into the tar whence he came, and Big Red here disappears. The sussy baka he is. You know, something tells me our little savior here is being controlled by someone we've met before. Back at the Magellan, Charlie B creeping on everyone while they nap, and later that day, the girls, equipped in their orange jackets, ask you to do a photo shoot for them. Yeah, I'm not even surprised at this point. After all, it is a Strand-type game, so anything goes. You're then off on your merry way for more work delivering technology to a site called F4, and on your way out, another one of those big old tar walls ascends from the ground. so cool. Sam wakes up underwater. Also ignore the bunny hat. Becca. Looks like we're back in the land of the infinite dying, but instead of a South American town, it's an underwater hospital. After mowing down waves of skeleton enemies, as you should be used to by now, you eventually run into the man, the myth, the legend. Goddamn, why is this so cool every time? Anyway, you put him down like the sick dog he is, and then you steal his ID, finding out he was at some point a member of Bridges. He tries to grab BB, but dies. Then, baby jump scare. After waking up in the world of the mostly living, we find out that hardly a moment had even passed. Back on the DHV Magellan, we join the crew as Mr. Snake jump scares us, except he's just a hologram. Fragile tells us his name is Neil Vana, not Nirvana like Mr. Dollman thought he heard before. Turns out the ID you got from Neil was helpful in identifying the man. And if you remember the first game, there are tons of parallels between Neil here and Cliff, both men having died in the past and both men now being stuck in seemingly infinite death loops, reliving major events where countless human lives were lost. It also turns out that Neil was never a member of Bridges in an official capacity. He was a porter with Dooms, hired to bring stuff from Mexico over the border to America. But Vana wasn't just your average smuggler. The last major piece of information we gain here is that this man died in a void out, the very same void out that eviscerated Sam's wife and child, from what we know so far. Anyway, back to porting, which means more strands to establish. Next time you're on the ship, Fragile tells us more about our good friend Neil. He, like many people afflicted with Dooms, came to see a therapist regularly, and his therapist just so happened to be the same therapist that Sam had. Another important detail, this woman, Lucy Strand, was also Sam's wife. Just a little fun fact, you know. The real issue is with what we find out next. The child Lucy was pregnant with, it wasn't Sam's. It was Neil's. Lucy had an affair with the man, all while being married to Sam. That's fucked up! The next time Sam connects to his BB, he's met with more flashbacks, which we've gotten many of at this point, by the way. I just didn't think they were worth acknowledging every time, particularly because we'll find the full truth by the end either way. But this flashback, well, we see Lucy from what appears to be the perspective of Neil Vana. But let's take a little break from all this drama and go catch an emu on a levitating coffin hoverboard. Hideo game! On his way back to his room, Sam passes by Tomorrow. Turns out she's finally figured out how to control her rotting ability. Now we have a free snack for later. After another day of hard work, where this time around you infiltrate a factory producing Higgs's mecha soldiers so you can hack and shut down the whole operation, you get back to the Magellan and are awoken by something strange in the night. Sam follows some unknown figure upstairs into the garage and finds sleepwalking Hartman?
It's me, your old pal, Dead Man.
Dead Man? What? So it turns out Dead Man is the one who's been sending the mystery emails since he's been borrowing Hartman's body whenever Hartman goes to the beach during his deadly vacation trips. Before Dead Man kicked the bucket, he had given Hartman his heart as a backup, and over time this allowed Dead Man to become so connected to his good friend that he could possess him every now and then. You know, just normal friend stuff. Dead Man says that the one who falsified BB Lou's records was actually him. He wanted to ensure Lou could be free from the UCA or Bridges' clutches. But before we can chat for too long, Hartman returns.
Where are we?
Our next chapter sees us returning to the Motherhood, where they examine Rainy's still baby situation. The doctor gives Rainy the opportunity to see her daughter and know that she's in good health, but the baby can only stay outside the womb in a BB pod for less than 3 minutes as a safety precaution. The doctor then explains that while Rainy's baby is healthy, it's stuck in time. Basically, time is not moving while it's in her womb, a womb which is connected to the beach. They can only hope that when the so-called balance between the world of the living and the beach is fixed, Rainy and the other women in this situation across the world will be able to give birth. Until then, we must push on. The doctor then asks Sam if she can examine his pod again. It turns out BB Lou had been in that pod for longer than most BBs ever normally are. After poking a camera inside the pod, we find the date that BBs are transferred into a pod for the first time. And would you look at that? This one's date is the same date as the void out that took Lucy and Neil Vana, along with countless others. The same void out of which Sam was the only survivor. Something ain't adding up here. Doctor says we shouldn't dig up the past, but I'm gonna have to disagree here. Also, Sam, stop hallucinating. Back at the Magellan, we get this adorable scene. Though this moment was something of a calm before the storm, because everyone straps in for the Magellan to head into the tar and travel down the currents to a more advantageous region of the continent, and while they travel, something goes wrong. An unidentified object approaches rapidly. It attacks the sub, tries to drag the DHV deeper into the tar before at last we pull an emergency surfacing maneuver. After opening the blinds, something gazes in at the crew from outside. Shit. Then Higgs suddenly appears on the ship, holding his weapon to Fragile's head. Before he can do too much damage though, Tomorrow walks up. Goddamn, she just fucking obliterated him. It's at this point we realize the Higgs here isn't really Higgs. It just appears to be a ghost mecha version of him, like an avatar. While he slithers back off with his tail between his legs, you're now tasked with saving the ship from the giant tentacle mecha entity that is now trying to recreate the Titan submersible implosion with your lovely vessel. No Xbox controller required. You kill it and return to the crew. The three girls head off on a little mission so they can get some parts for the now rather messed up ship, and after delivering some cargo and resting in a bunker shelter, Hartman joins you. Rather jarringly so, with his holographic environment having shifted your room into Hartman's familiar study. He then elaborates on his mostly complete picture of the BBs. See, before the 9 BBs were initially spread out and set up around America for the chiral network, the original plan was to have just one BB, BB-00, assigned to play the role of what they call a core bridge baby. But because the UCA's tests did not yield well enough results for this one babied power system, they ended up going with the multi-baby network. Never thought I would utter those specific combinations of words, but here we are. Later, getting a message from Deadman-possessed Hartman over Death Stranding's version of Discord, we find out a big reveal with BB-00. Originally, it had been marked for disposal, but someone intervened behind the scenes, giving it the BB-28 serial number to spare it. In the official records, BB-00 was decommissioned, and Bridges had no reason to think otherwise. The person who did this was actually none other than Amelie, Bridget's Ka, which begs the question, what would motivate her to do that? We'll find out soon enough. But for now, we've got a chiral network to extend, so we head to the Southern Environmental Observatory and are ambushed by some more goddamn ghost mechas. We mess them up and make the delivery. Easy peasy.
Uh-oh. Guitar goblin.
You know, truth be told, I don't really care if you and your crew link up the continent or not. Because I'm here just for one reason.
Get up!
And that's to make you suffer. Can't kill a repatriate for good. But boy, you're about to learn. There's far worse things than dying. So, let's kick it off with some pain.
After Sam is ruthlessly torched to the point of death, he revives, but that's exactly what Higgs wants. Death is too easy. It's a mercy in many ways. Higgs doesn't care if Sam lives or dies. He only wants Sam to reach the point where he breaks. I haven't been this disturbed by a scene in a video game in, well, probably ever. It's not even that graphic, yet the fact that Sam is in so much pain he can't even scream might just be the most agonizing part to witness. He dies again and again, and each time he comes back, an unending misery crushing an already broken man. And when all hope seems lost, at last, your saviors arrive. Although Higgs escaped right after having grabbed a clump of Tomorrow's hair, the girls quickly realize Sam is still in an infinite loop of flames, death, and resurrection. They don't know what to do until Rainey shows up. Dude, this is like the most beautiful scene in the game. What the fuck? They even have a rainbow. They have a rainbow! We're met with a point of recovery. The crew give updates on dead ends tied up, as well as Sam's healing after his traumatic incident. But speaking of trauma, the crew, specifically Dahlman, decides to broach the subject of Lou. Sam is confronted with the truth.
She asked me to help.
What?
Before we set out on our journey together. Lou's been gone for a long, long time now.
No. Lou's right here. We just traveled across Australia together. I'll show you.
The pod you brought on this journey has been empty from the start. The truth is, I'm the one who's been operating your Odra deck.
What do you mean Lou's dead? What are you talking about?
The BB pod was empty the whole time. Fragile supported Sam the best way she could, having Dollman help out, feeding into Sam's delusion as a way to help him do his job to connect Australia and hopefully at least move on from the fact that Lou is gone. After that depressing reality check, Sam finds a pizza guy imprisoned by Higgs's mechas. You try and save him, but then this happens. So once you two bond over your love of pizza, Mr. Discount Mario is able to return to his shop, Pizza Tommy. Turns out the bad guys were using his business to smuggle weapons. Typical Higgs, mixing pizza and violence. Anyway, after you leave the pizza place, in between orders, you run into the final wall of tar. Looks like it's time to enter that strange, strange world again. Without hesitation, Sam takes a few steps into the tar. Sam wakes up in a subway. We're neither in a spark-filled city nor in an underwater hospital. Something weird is certainly happening, though. Shadowy figures run for their lives as the whole underground shakes from quakes. Then a truck drives on the ceiling? Okay, Solid Snake, let's do this one last time. Getting right to the point, we start an intense firefight not a moment too soon. After we defeat Neil, Sam has a vision, and we just simply watch as that fellow broken man stumbles into a stationary train cart and lights a cigarette. It's here we learn his backstory, at least a part of it. Back in the burning city we first met Neil in, or at least what appears to be the real city, the one where all of those deaths initially happened, we see him as a kid wandering chaotic, meteor-stricken streets looking for his parents. A piece of very hot metal from an explosion ricochets onto his hand and burns itself a mark. Then a little girl comes and helps him up. Before they know it, another explosion hits and the two kids are caught in it. The girl is trapped, and when Neil tries to help her up and she grabs his hand, it burns that same piece of metal into her skin. Before he can really get her out, though, Neil's parents call for him, and with approaching titanic tar creatures, the kid just kinda runs away, leaving the girl to die. Weirdly, the titanic creatures and shadowy figures present in this childhood flashback make it seem as if he was a child in that previous battlefield death loop thing. But at this point, we still don't really have answers. This seemed to be at least some kind of canon event, because how would either of them have escaped the dimension itself if that were a thing? I don't know. Anyway, we return back to Sam, emboldened to chase after Neil and find the truth. Before we know it, we end up in a gravity-defying train platforming firefight with the man, until at last, we reach him. Oh, is he friendly now? No. The answer is no. What the fuck? There. Jesus. Stay the fuck down. For the love of God. Neil asks us if we are in fact Sam, and then he tells us that he tried to protect them, asking Sam to please, if nothing else, keep Lou safe. Before Neil dies, Sam grabs him and we finally get a complete flashback. Neil arrives at his first therapist appointment with Lucy. There's a bit of tension and the two have their appointment. It concludes. As he's leaving, Lucy stops him. She asks him if he really doesn't remember her before grabbing his hand and showing him her matching scar. A scar showing that same exact mark burned into his own hand. As you'd naturally surmise by now, yes, Lucy is that very same girl Neil basically left for dead. She slaps him, but their reunion seems to be something they both feel some type of way about, despite Lucy being married, by the way. The next scene we get, Neil is having a chat with what appears to be his supervisor or boss. The man turns off the cameras and threatens Neil.
You, sir, are an unrepentant criminal, and by way of compensation, we have overlooked your crimes. If you refuse, there will be severe repercussions.
Bring it on, because I'm not doing this shit anymore.
But what makes you think you have a choice? Neil? You understand me? Neil? Neil!
In therapy again, Neil is struggling. His work is crushing him. Clearly, whatever Bridges is having him do off the books is unfathomably evil. Lucy finally gets him to open up.
Calculate. Brain dead. Pregnant women. Raw material for human sacrifice.
Okay. Neil, take a deep breath.
The two of them are spending an awful lot of time together, and Lucy's worried if someone appears to be watching them, monitoring her for a reason we'll understand soon enough. We get to a cold, quiet office visit, tensions high. She explains that the baby she's carrying, Sam's baby, is due to be born in October, and that from here on, she and Neil can't see each other.
I don't care if it's his baby you're carrying. Lucy, I love you.
I love him, Neil.
Okay, I'm gonna be real here. If she really loved Sam, why the fuck did she go and cheat on him with this guy who, as a kid, left her to die under some rubble, but also is, another person? Neil leaves and Lucy pulls out the gift that he left her. That same leftover piece of metal that seared its mark on the two of them. But before we get any more lore, we snap back to reality and Sam returns to the world of the living. After getting back to the DHV Magellan, Fragile has a chat with Sam. She makes one thing very clear. That child Lucy carried, it wasn't Neil's, it was Sam's. And while we just realized that from the flashback, Sam until now had no idea. I don't think he really connected the dots if he did see that flashback. Maybe he didn't, I don't know. Before we can even process this though, the ship's alarms light up. The Magellan is under attack by Higgs' army and Charlie briefs the gang on the latest plan. They're in the end game now. The team is assigned their roles, with Sam being assigned the most Sam job ever, delivery. Their goal is to link up 3 stations in a specific sequence, which will be the last thing they need for the remainder of the Australian chiral network to be linked up. So, let's get after it. Sam links up the first of the 3 way stations onto the chiral network. With one, he's able to bring the Magellan out of the tar progressively to catch it up to the latest area he's connected, where it can then provide fire support on the battlefield. Fighting through hordes of enemies and walls of fire, he links up the second, where Rainey calls upon the sky to assist. 1 way station remains, but Sam has to fight through his toughest foes yet before he can reach it. Then the samurai shows up. And would you look at that, the samurai is Dead Man. We make it to the last terminal, and then, oh, of course, Higgs is here. Okay, he just got chopped in half. Fragile starts to shoot him, and then Higgs admits it. He killed Lou. As Fragile burns him to a crisp, giving him a taste of his own medicine, he starts saying a rather sickening line. Something which, if you played the first game, you'd remember well.
Take the damage and the goods. I don't break Betty.
Well, that was more satisfying than those videos where people squeeze homemade slime for 34 minutes straight. With the chiral network all connected, it seems we've won, right? Sam heads up to the bridge in the Magellan and... wait, why is everyone asleep in their chairs? The president guy of the evil corporation is bad? Ugh, bro's got crabs. Alright, long story short, APAC is a fully AI-run company from the top. They plan on using the plate gates, like the ones you just helped to potentially open here on Australia, to basically allow APAC to connect the entire world on the chiral network. With their zero void out policy, they'd use robo-porters to ensure that no human ever has to leave their bunker to get what they need. And that sounds kinda okay, but, well, they want to take it much, much further. Mr. President's theory on the whole Death Stranding overall is that it became a system to get life forms to develop and connect to each other. When evolution stagnates, it necessarily leads to extinction, he says, and after extinctions, new species are able to step up and try again, citing the process of aquatic creatures moving to land over time when their descendants eventually migrated, and when those migrated creatures evolved into newer, more advanced species. He says extinction is what allows evolution to take its course. The dead step aside so that life can go on. Movement is what drives it all. And that was what gave us humanity. But the Death Stranding wants humanity to end, and thus our AI-generated president here simply agrees with the notion. A new species must inherit the planet. Said species wouldn't need a heart to pump its blood. No, this species is more Sam Altman's speed. A species run on circuits and electricity. Their ideal strategy for this passing of the torch doesn't mean humanity has to go extinct, though. It just means that humans will become stagnant, unmoving, beached. When Sam asks what this entity really is, his response seems to be basically everyone. He shifts his face into this old man from the first game, Elder, and explains that the APAS system began its mission after Sam connected North America. It turns out the APAS data center was wiped out by a huge void out. It took with it 4,000 people, 4,000 lives, but something happened. Their connections were not severed. Suddenly, Sam is transported to a giant server room on the beach. The president explains that through the void out, the cause of those 4,000 people, their souls, were transported to the same exact beach. This very one they stand on now. Those souls appear to have converged into a singular connected entity. The president says that if every human soul was converged on a beach like this, they could be overseen by APAS, monitored, controlled. Wow, this sci-fi dystopia kind of sounds like 2025. Hideo, you dirty dog, using media to reflect the state of the real world. Anyway, basically, bro wants to connect all of humanity's souls so that APAS can manage and restrict every aspect of humanity's existence. Again, zero void out policy. They ain't fucking around here. Sounds good in theory, except for the part where everything that makes humanity is removed.
But isn't that just a shortcut to extinction?
Sam asks a good question here, but ChatGPT deflects and says, not at all, it's merely that you will leave your mortal flesh behind and join the Chiralverse. Okay, Mark Zuckerberg, is that you? Sam is about to crash out at this point, because I mean, what the fuck, dude? As soon as it seems like we're basically just at the end game here with ChatGPT, pretty much saying, checkmate, someone intervenes. Oh, hey, Charlie.
The day is ending. Let that yawn now. There's no pretending. I will hold you and protect you. So let love warm you till the morning. Good God.
It seems like the metaphor here represents humanity's response to ChatGPT trying to take over the world as just us creating beautiful art to literally shit in its face and say, yeah, we don't really care. We're just going to dance. We're going to Fortnite dance on your grave. ChatGPT, which I'm just going to be calling this guy from here on, is not happy. Die Hardman, who, yes, was Charlie this whole time, walks up and joins the cast once again. He's back. Yep. Die Hardman is pretty smug here. Deservedly so. Our mans was cooking behind the scenes. APAS really didn't seem to know that Hardman was posing as Charlie the whole time. Hardman ensured that this whole time, APAS didn't have the complete data for Drawbridge. Without the full picture, they couldn't detect what was under their nose throughout all of this. Hardman was planning a lot of things behind the scenes for a long time, as he oversaw Drawbridge's prototype, as well as an augmented Cupid design that could limit information flow, all while he was the previous director of Bridges. Together with Tarman, Hardman turned the captain's little old submarine from a deep tar hunting vessel into the DHV Magellan that it proudly functions as today. Bro then breaks the fourth wall and looks right at the camera, saying,
I dare say there are some among you who already deduced the name's double meaning. That's right. The DHV Magellan. Or to spell it out, Die Hardman's vessel.
Okay, moving on. ChatGPT is genuinely pissed off right now, but it can't really do anything about it. With Lochna's help, the Cupids that Drawbridge used to connect the most recent chiral network had engineered into them the ability to sever connections between their systems and the dead, which would take away all control from APAS, turning it from an overseer into, yet again, just a tool. AI Tech Bro says, "No, you can't do this, you'll never escape the Death Stranding!" To which Hardman simply says, "We don't care, we'll just try and do the impossible and continue to fight against the Death Stranding while keeping what makes us human," as he continues tapping the crew back awake. Holy shit, I think he needs a tissue. Hardman concludes his monologue, basically saying to ChatGPT, "Nah, I'd win," and proceeds to connect the continents using Drawbridge's Cupid tech, humanity's own path forward. Later, bitch!
What are you doing?
Dead man? Wait, that's not dead man. Shit.
Dead man, stop! Get back, you fools! That's not me!
I've been puppeteering this whole thing the whole time. All to pay back dear old Amelie for what she did to me.
This is about Amelie?
Yeah. See, I'm gonna crack open that beach she sealed away and kick off the last stranding.
What makes you think you can pull it off?
Well, I'm so glad that you asked. You see, during my lengthy imprisonment, I had time to figure it out. All I needed was a catalyst with a connection to Amelie, and I could break through to her beach. This is the catalyst that I've been searching for. Brand new extinction entity. Still in the dark, huh? God damn, man. She's your daughter.
What?
That was a reveal and a half. Not that I expect most of you didn't see it coming, but yeah, tomorrow is Lou. After Higgs takes her, he invites you to come join him on the beach. One last tango. Higgs could very well easily trigger the last stranding. Fragile offers to use her jump ability to take the ship to the beach, no matter the cost, and even though she has jump shock, she says she'll do it. The issue is, though, that they need something that ties them to Amelie to find her beach, an object at the very least, which is something they don't have, at least not yet. The answer, Fragile thinks, could very well lie in Sam's shelter at the start of the game, so they head off at once to return back to where this whole adventure kicked off. Buckle up. The Magellan is in a pickle. It's too risky to use it to travel all the way back to North America because of volatile tar currents and the state of the ship, forcing Sam to manually travel back to the Australian plate gate so he can use it to retrace his steps in Mexico. The game takes this opportunity to throw no small number of insane fucking enemies at you. What the fuck is happening? Fucking void out? Are you shitting me? Anyway, eventually you reach the gate, go through the interdimensional sewer pipe, and make it back to Mexico, where apparently the sky looks like ocean. Seems like the car turns, or the beach, or something weird is going on, almost like the world of the living is slowly starting to converge with the beach. A frightening thought, though on our trek we get to listen to some real calming music, so that's nice. At last, we make it back to the bunker, and Sam heads inside. Everything looks clean, fixed, normal even. Lou is here, except she's not. Sam looks around the room until he finds it. The photograph of Bridget, a close enough tie to Amelie, which Dahlman says could connect them to Amelie's Kipu that Higgs has in his own possession. Just what they need to locate the beach he's on at last. As Sam leaves the shelter, we see the real state it's in. Thought so. After we return to the ship, the crew readies up, Fragile gives a speech, and it's finally time. All roads have led us here.
There was a time when I would shatter at every hit or so, but now I barely feel the pain when I fall Silence is stunning, madness, forgetting what we saw. Don't waste your life observing the slaughter. It's all we have to survive this
Discharging tar ballast tanks. DHV Magellan surfacing.
Get us airborne, on the double.
We've made it. We've returned to Amelie's Beach. We really are in the end game now. And holy shit, would you look at that sight? 4,000 souls forming rings in the sky. They spot tomorrow in her cocoon, but just then a wave of BTs approach. Fragile tells us to finish this once and for all, sending Sam off with a hug. Let's do this. We open to a bleak sight. The sky appears torn by what looks like a large vertical glowing ripple in reality itself. Sam marches down to the beach as the Magellan protects him from Titanic BTs. And speaking of Titanic BTs, this shit goes full attack on Titan as some real big dudes come on out of the ocean and attack. The crew is caught, but then Hartman tasks his good pal Deadman to handle this from here on. Boom, Titan slain. Well, no, actually we're taming the Titan, okay.
DHV Magellan. Integrate!
That was pretty cool. With your newly upgraded allies assisting out in the ocean, now is your chance. Go, Sam. It's not long before Higgs arrives, possessing the samurai. It's here where a Souls-like battle begins. After you defeat him, you walk up towards the servers and find Higgs sitting on one of the tall slabs, staring off into the distance. This time, Higgs holds nothing back. He tells us his story.
Well, let's just say I've died on the beach before. You of all people should understand. The loneliness. Tens of thousands of years just wandering without you. Fragile. Amelie. Anyone. I didn't fucking take it. Just when I finally had embraced oblivion. These dead folks right here up and called me back. 4,000 poor bastards who joined with APAS in a convergence. Well, with so much in common, they thought I should team up with their little company. And me being me, I played along. All the while, I was working towards my own personal goal.
No, I get it. Is that really what you want?
Oh, yeah. To bring about the last stranding.
There's no turning back. It's far too late for Higgs. His near never-ending wandering on Amelie's beach ensured his mind could never come back. What he wanted to do to Sam, to break him, that was just Higgs' attempt to show Sam what it was like to be truly mentally broken. Higgs invites Sam for one last showdown, and the boss fights continue. Eventually, Higgs takes the battle to a higher elevation. We went from a Souls-like boss to a firefight, and now to a beat-em-up. Let's get to it. This is hands down the coolest boss battle of any game I've ever seen. There's just nothing that can compete with it. I don't care what you say. These motherfuckers cooked so hard, I felt my caw leave my ha for a few seconds. As both men reach their physical limits, we switch to a 2D fight as they each desperately smack the shit out of each other like two lumbering titans at their wits' end. As Sam knocks Higgs down, it looks like it might just be too late. The final stranding begins. Is this it? Is humanity done?
See the sunset. The day is ending. I will hold you and protect you. So let love warm you till the
And just like that, it's over. We open to a snowy landscape. Sam has baby Lou strapped to his chest as the two of them head home together. Before long, a blizzard starts and Sam is in front of the Magellan. Then we're on the beach. Sam brings Tomorrow back onto the ship, and while everything appears to be fine, well, it turns out it's not.
Fragile? Fragile's dead, Sam.
The truth is that she'd been dead nearly this whole time. It happened when she tried to jump Lou to safety. When Higgs shot her, Fragile's Ka and Ha were detached from one another, and by some luck, baby Lou, with her connection to the beach, ensured her and Fragile would be connected to the lost souls of the world of the dead. Fragile's Ka figured Lou would be safer with them, and her body, or Ha, while reviving, understood itself that it wasn't alive any longer. Despite her being able to persist on, she was on limited, borrowed time. That body wasn't going to last forever. But she knew what she wanted to do with that time. She wanted to spend it traveling with Sam. She never stopped blaming herself for not being able to take care of Lou, not being able to keep her safe. But what she did assure Sam was that he could at least spend his remaining years with the woman that she had become. Tomorrow.
Death can't tear us apart. We will always be with you. Now go on. The others are waiting.
Wait!
After Sam sits with his feelings for a moment, he heads back to the bridge, and the crew initiates their return trip to the world of the living. And with so many loose ends getting tied up at this point, the game decides, hey, why don't we wrap up the last major storyline while we're at it? Flashback time. Neil walks into Lucy's office. She tells him that Bridges is after her child because it's the offspring of a repatriate, making it a highly valuable resource. She asks him one thing, to pretend with her that the child is actually his in an effort to get Bridges to leave her alone.
Please, help me keep Lou safe. Thank you.
We should run to Mexico. There's a bunch of routes only people like me know. And I have a couple of friends down there that can help us out. But we need to move quick. Next week, no later. Okay? I will come back and pick you up here.
They make their plan, and Lucy breathes a sigh of relief. Later, Neil approaches her, saying it's time that they go. The two of them walk down a hallway attempting to leave, and they make it through initially before Neil's overhead stops them.
You had to know. We'd never let you leave. You're carrying the child of a repatriate, after all. A test subject of incalculable value.
Gun! Put it down! Put it down!
No.
You're wrong, because that's my child. So back the fuck off.
Back off!
Neil.
No! Check fire! Check fire! Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Lucy. Hey. Oh, fuck.
Neil.
You have to save her. Please.
We can try. But there's going to be conditions. This child is invaluable to us. You have to agree to let us take it.
She'll survive? Give me your word.
I give you my word, Neil. I give you my word.
the rat in fact proved that his word meant nothing. Neil and Lucy are dead. We cut to Neil's perspective from under a sheet. Corpse handlers mention how Lucy's child was taken from her womb and transferred to a pod. After they pull the sheet off of you, they realize an unsettling truth. Whether out of spite, dooms, or some combination of both, Neil's corpse is already necrosing, faster than any body is supposed to. And that means one thing: living, breathing humans best get as far away as they can. For the first time ever, you are now in control of a beached thing. We see a strange perspective, that of our living world through the experience of a BT. Eventually, we make our way into the room where Lucy's body is kept, and Sam walks up to his wife. But BTs can't help themselves. In the presence of a living person, they have but one most dangerous action they can take to void out. It's here where things come full circle. Fragile's Ka takes baby Lou, placing her in the warm embrace of the lost souls of battlefields far gone. But not only was Lou protected by those lost souls, she was protected by the one who vowed to do so even in death. Back in the world of the living, the crew awakens, as does Tomorrow, or really, Lou.
I remember now. The journey the two of us went on together. You and me, Sam.
No.
We will always be connected. I'm here, Louise.
Yeah. After the initial credits roll, we get a rather important cutscene, and I'm just gonna let you take this one in.
Me. I've always loved porters. Through freezing rain and biting wind, across rivers, mountains, and endless deserts. They come to deliver something priceless. A glimpse of a life I've never known. They're my window, my sole connection to the outside world. And I know they'll be back again today. And every day. Even when we're long gone. Death can't tear us apart. That's why today is another day on the road.
Death Stranding 3. Yes, let's fucking go! But before we get there, let's take a second to take a deep breath and process everything that just happened in this game, yeah? And in chronological order this time, in case there are things that are still confusing, because there's a lot to take in. Starting all the way back at the end of Death Stranding 1, let's pick up from where Sam initially brought Louise, BB00, out of her pod. At first, she didn't appear to be alive, but within a few seconds, her heart began to beat. As Sam raised Lou as his own, he went off the grid for about 11 months, hiding out in Mexico away from the prying eyes of the UCA and Bridges. By the end of the first game, Ty Hardman became the president of the UCA and the director of Bridges, but at some point within the 11 months in between games, Hardman was fired. Similarly, within those 11 months, the void out that took with it 4,000 people took place, which, because of its proximity to the AI tool APAS, by some means allowed the souls of those people to converge in one beach. What appeared to be Amelie's, which just so happened to be where Fragile had left Higgs stranded many moons prior. But see, because time works so differently in our world compared to the beach, Higgs was alone on the beach before his new visitors showed up for potentially centuries or eons even, with no one. Higgs is a broken man. Given this new opportunity, became fueled with a simple desire to inflict the worst agony or destruction on not only Sam and Fragile, but the whole of humanity. He utilized the beach APAS to wiggle his influence into the world of the living, producing ghost mechas and even manifesting an avatar of his own to wreak havoc and get his revenge. Hence the events of where the game picks up. But we can't ignore APAC, the organization responsible for utilizing that same AI technology, but for their own means to nullify humanity, effectively cause its extinction, but with more colorful words. They just wanted to put everyone in a big graveyard, which would allow their superintelligence to become the dominant new species of Earth. The last group among this whole conflict would then be none other than Drawbridge, pioneered by an incognito Die Hardman. With Tarman as the only one who truly knew its origins, Hardman was able to orchestrate the crew's collaboration to do everything in their power to not only stop APAC, but stop any more Death Strandings moving forward. And that is the story of Death Stranding 1 and 2 Explained. Thanks for watching.